Show. That's right. Welcome in, welcome back, folks, to a Notre Dame's 2024 season. Really kind of makes no sense, but we've come this far, so we may as well ride this thing out together. Edition of the Always Irish Show. As always, thanks for being here. You can find a program on YouTube. Do it, subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it very much. Give the video a thumbs up. That helps John out as well. Notifications on that way you don't miss nothing. Twitter, search bar Always Irish Rat. Always Irish Inc. Emails alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only anywhere you want it. You can get it. If you don't want to see my face, do the audio only. I don't blame you for that, okay? I don't want to see my face. How do you think I feel? Call-in lines. 312-900-8815. You dialed up. Tell Uncle Johnny all you heard and seen. Notre Dame Fighting Irish Football brought to you by Sports Illustrated. Check it out. And don't forget about patreon.com/Always Irish. He the former captain. He the leading tackler. It's Mike Goolsby and myself breaking it all down behind the paywall. Be there, be square. Thanks to everybody who's there year-round supporting us. Appreciate it. All right. What a ride following Notre Dame football is, folks. Welcome in, welcome back. Here we are. Notre Dame causes a wreck for the team known as Georgia Tech, and you down them 31-13. You go back a year. This game was circled as a trap game in ATL due to A-Town Stomp. It was set up as this trap game, whatever. You caught a break with their quarterback out. Although we got 20 guys out. So, I mean, geez, balance the ledger a little bit. Take what you get with the timing on that. You hope the young man's better, but it helped us win and he wasn't there. So it's just the reality of football, right? So you get the win, and it's early Sunday morning. Long night last night writing my article. I think I wrote 5 articles after the post-game show live and then recording a video. And I'm just kind of, my brain's fried after that. Got up early to deal with the dogs. No YouTube, no Twitter, no phone, no nothing. It's just the sun's coming up. It's quiet. It's peaceful. And I'm just thinking in my head, I've been covering Notre Dame, doing media or content since 2016. Mid-2016 is when this show started. And obviously a diehard, families, diehard fans before that, leading up to that, right? This season may be one of the weirder ones I've ever seen or been involved in Notre Dame in so many ways. And I mean that as a fan, and I mean that as a media guy and a content creator. Like this is one of the weirdest feeling seasons I've ever had, and one of the most bizarre feeling seasons definitely since I've been doing media. With my videos and writing, man, I feel like I usually have a pretty good pulse of the team, whether it's good or bad, or I feel pretty confident that I understand the vibe and the realistic framework that we're working in week to week and what's going on with the team, and it creates you like a baseline concept from which to adapt and create your content within the framework of where you think this team is at and what you can rely on and what's possible. And if you've been around it a long time, you just feel like you have a pulse of things. That all seems to be out the window this year. It feels like it has been, through the first half of the season, almost impossible to gauge this team overall. It's just been a week-to-week battle. So much instability. Way up for Texas A&M. The uppest you could ever be up after that game and what it means. And you're trying to be elite. You have one of the best wins, SEC win, all this stuff. Playing in College Station. The whole thing. The whole thing. 1 week later, the lowest of the lows. Just that swing from high to low could not be more drastic. It's just that swing from high to low. And then the win since then, you've had periods of good, periods of bad, periods of great, periods of average, like whatever, but you ended up winning all the games. I mentioned this before. You know what one of the biggest indicators are to me that this is all weird and messed up? Notre Dame fans don't even chirp anymore. That's a big indicator to me. Since Northern Illinois, we don't run our mouths. You have no right to, and you know it. Notre Dame fans are not on Twitter running their mouths to the other fan base. We're going to beat you. No, we're going to beat you, and we're confident. And I'm willing to hit send and put it out in the public and have it used against me if it backfires. That's how confident I am in my team. We don't have any of that. We're not running our mouths because you know when you lose to Northern, you're not allowed to anymore. And it's just weird because even though you've won 5 games in a row since, it has not made you feel confident enough to start running your mouth. So there isn't this overconfidence you usually have in the Notre Dame fan base. Like, I'm just not seeing it since week 2. It's just weird. It feels like Notre Dame's trending in 2 different ways at the same time. They're trending up because they've won 5 in a row, and I do feel like that offense is getting a little bit better at certain things week to week. But I also feel like you're trending down because half the team looks like they spent 2 tours in Da Nang in Vietnam. So I feel this big push-pull. The injuries weigh you down, but the team keeps winning. So that's a very, very awkward thing to blend in your mind. Every time another key contributor goes down, you're like, man, that increases our odds to lose again. But then they go keep winning. They go keep winning. It's such a confusing feeling and just such a confusing place to be as a media person who follows it every day and a God-fearing Notre Dame fan. Then you add in the national scene. It just feels like there's more parity than ever before with the transfer portal and I'm convinced the round-robin nature of the Big Ten and the SEC now eliminating spit it out. Eliminating the divisions, so now you just have a round robin and the 2 best teams play at the end. I just feel like that is balancing the ledger a lot between the portal, the way guys are moving around at these big programs. If they're not starting, they move around. It's hard to have good depth now because of that. And it just feels like anybody could beat anybody. There's way more upsets, and it just feels like there used to be way more boring games on any given Saturday than there is now. A lot of those teams with the number by them, it doesn't matter who they play, they're getting pushed. It's been really, really interesting. So where does that all leave Notre Dame? In a decent, but a very weird spot. You win out and you're in the playoff. You got 5 games left, and let's be honest, 4 of them are weird as hell. Can't get enough unfiltered Notre Dame football talk? Be sure to go over to patreon.com/alwaysirish. Former captain Mike Goolsby and myself. Do that. Screw it.
Oh, we never won anything. It's been 30 years.
I'm dead serious. It's the weirdest situation we're in. 4 of these 5 games are weird. Florida State and USC are down and down bad, like awful. Florida State is 1-6. USC, I believe they've lost 3 in a row. Awful loss to Maryland the other day. Like, Florida State and USC are getting so bad. Like, it's not even like, oh man, I hope you can beat this brand name helmet or whatever. It's almost, they're so bad, it would be humiliating for you to lose to these teams. You can't be the team that loses to 1-6 Florida State and lets them get off the mat. I think they play Miami next coming up. So mark it down as 1-7. You can't be the team that lets Florida State rise from the dead at your place. Are you outside your mind? You can't be the one that allows that. Get serious about your life. And USC too. So I'm hoping by the time we get out to LA, they got 5 or 6 losses and they're done for. And don't even want to be there. I know all their fans are going to be hanging 10 on the beach. They're not going to be in that dump stadium when that team has 5 or 6 losses. They're all going to be catching a wave in California, bro. Or whatever else weird stuff California is. They're maybe breaking into a CVS or something. Who knows what they're going to do? Anyways, it would be humiliating to lose to either one of those two brand name teams. And then you got the two unbeaten academies. They haven't played anybody good, but they're both undefeated and ranked. And then if you looked at the back half of this schedule and said, oh, Notre Dame's going to play two ranked teams, you go, yeah, I know. They're called Florida State and USC. Not so fast, my friend. They're called Navy and Army. Bizarro land, man. Bizarro land. And then you got Virginia in there. It just makes, when I think about the other four and all the storylines, thinking of Virginia just puts me to sleep. Unbelievable. So what can you do? What should you do if you're a Notre Dame fan or media person or whatever? I don't know. Ride it out and hope for the best? It's all bizarre. It's all weird. It all feels weird. It's getting exciting as Notre Dame's checking off more weeks with more wins. And I just, you're worried about the team showing up or whatever after Northern, but while you're worrying about it, they just keep showing up. Right? That's literally how I feel about it. Every week I'm worried this team isn't going to show up because of what I saw against Northern. And then every week while I'm worried about it, the team shows up and ends up winning. But it's not making me not worry about it. That Northern thing is a shadow that follows you around. And it just doesn't go bye-bye, man. It just doesn't go bye-bye. There's certain losses that weigh on you more than other losses. Ohio State last year, for its own reasons, weighed on you more than just one loss would, perceptually and practically. Bush push, as heavy as Bush push was, weighed on you. Florida State 14. You get what I'm saying? Big House 19, Miami 17. Some of these losses you wear for a long time, man. They don't just go away. It's not just, hey, we played a good team, we played good, and we fell short. That's not what Notre Dame's losses are. They're complete travesties, right? Notre Dame doesn't have these normal losses where, you play a good team, you're a good team, we play really good, and we just fall short. No. Ours are catastrophes. So each week that I'm worried about all this and them not showing up because they didn't show up against Northern, they just keep winning. And then the more that you check those weeks off that calendar, the more your odds of going 11-1 rise. So it's Notre Dame's going to be favored and should win all of these remaining games. All of them. You're going to be favored, and you should have an advantage. Even with all of our rash of injuries, the match unit that this roster is, you should be able to beat all of these teams left. Okay? And here's what you can't do. Man, think about what we're on the verge of. This remaining handful of games is going to determine one of two paths for Notre Dame. Path number one is you run the table at 11-1 and you make the playoff, and it's check the box of it won, now we drew it up, but you ended up getting there as far as that ultimate big picture goal being a part of that first new 12-team playoff, right? That's one path. Then you get in and you see your situation. Are you able to squeeze into a hosting seed? That changes things. Or are you going to Georgia or something the first game or whatever? There's going to be a lot that's going to have to be figured out once you get there, what that looks like. But going 11-1 should be able to get you in, and then you have that, you at least accomplish your main big picture goal for the season. So that's one path. Then you get in and you see what your deal is. The other path could be, it's so realistic. It would be so, what I'm about to say would be so Notre Dame in just the worst way I could ever imagine. Just the most Notre Dame-iest thing that could ever happen would be for Notre Dame to lose to Northern Illinois at home and then a military academy and beat everybody else. And you end up 10-2 with 2 losses to 2 teams you have 100% more talent than. Not 100%, but you know what I mean. You have no business physically losing to either one of these. It would be the most, in my 40 years of cognizant Notre Dame stuff, it would be right in line to lose to Northern and lose to an academy. Think of the difference in the Notre Dame media, the national media, the perception of Notre Dame and everything, the difference between riding this out at 11-1 and making the playoff after all this stress and anxiety versus you mess around and do something stupid and you lose to Navy and Northern or something, or Army or whatever. I cannot think of two more divergent paths for Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame and how this is all going to end this year than those two outcomes. It is literally that drastic. Which way is it going to be, right or left? It's going to be that severe one way or the other. You cannot lose to Northern Illinois and Academy. You just can't, and Marcus Freeman knows it. He knows. I don't know if he can prevent it, but he knows it. Those are two different things. Him knowing it and him being able to stop it are two different things, by the way. But I'm sure he knows it. You can't do it. You just can't. So you're about to find out in this Navy game about Notre Dame's program maturity. You're about to find out how good this staff is. And you're about to find out, I always hear about all these smart guys Notre Dame has. That's what I always hear. These guys are going to be engineers and lawyers and all this stuff. And then we got the smart guys. Well, then learn your Navy cues and be where you need to be. Mind your cues, be disciplined, be in the lane you're supposed to be, guard the guy you got to do, whatever you got to do, be disciplined enough and smart enough to do it. Okay? You tell me these Notre Dame guys are smart, even though they're young. I need them to know what you're doing to defend this Navy team and be where you need to be and wrap up and make the plays, damn it. Okay. If Notre Dame could get into this next bye with just the one loss, that 11-1 is a real possibility. If you could get by this Navy thing, then you get another break, and then you come out against the deceased Florida State program at your place, hopefully in the cold on November 9th. That's what I want. That's what I want. So Freeman knows it. I just got to make sure he can stop it. You can't lose to Northern and Academy. You outside your mind. In so many ways, you guys, this season just makes no sense. It's just, it makes no sense. It doesn't follow logic. It all feels weird. It all just doesn't jive. It's all, and some of it is us and how weird our schedule is and our results have been so far. Some of it is internal, how weird our own situation is with our schedule and everybody we play and who's good and bad and what we've done, win and loss. But the other part of it is kind of the national chaos and seeing how it's all going to translate into that new playoff. But it's looking at that chaos, and just every week seems like upsets or almost upsets. Anybody can beat anybody. And it's just, there's a lot more happening. So I don't know, you guys. I don't know. It's all bizarre. It's all weird. I keep being worried we're not going to show up. And in the meantime, they go on a 5-game winning streak. And if they get through one more game, you're in the bye with that light at the end of the tunnel visible. And it's the playoff. Like, that's where I'm having that countdown of 11-1 being real. If you get by this Navy and get into that final bye, that's where I'm looking at that as like, you could see that light at the end of the tunnel. But I want you to think about the difference between dropping one of these. If Notre Dame loses to anybody left on the schedule, it's a travesty and a tragedy. You shouldn't lose to Virginia. You shouldn't lose to either of the academies, and both the brand names are down and waiting to be out. It would be a travesty for Notre Dame to lose to any of these teams. So you got to be serious about what you're doing and your preparation and everything, and make sure you're on top of this and get this Navy win no matter what it looks like and get into that bye. And then you're looking to make that 11-1 run a real thing. But I'm just telling you, in so many ways, this season makes no sense, and it doesn't feel like any Notre Dame season I can remember, at least since I've been doing media. It feels so weird. There is this disconnect, and the fans want to buy in, but they're scared to, and you're not like overconfident about your team, but they keep winning, but you have doubts. It's just all the injuries. It's all weird, but Notre Dame keeps winning. Ride it out. As long as we're winning, just ride it out. You're in the playoff hunt. Ride it out till you can't anymore. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to check out the merchandise. The link is in the description. You can browse and carouse all the different Always Irish gear. Make sure you head over there and get something for the next tailgate. Thanks for being here.